Kabir Das, a great saint and poet from Kashi there up, said in very simple doha, the couplet, that Prema Gali, Badi Sankari, Jame Do Na Samahi, जब हरि था तब मैं ना ही, जब मैं था हरि ना ही. What it means is that the lane of love is very narrow. It's only one way. Two people cannot pass at the same time. When there is I, then there is no God. And when there is God, there is no scope for I, that is for my individuality to exist together. जब मैं था हरि नाही, अब हरि है मैं नाही. This is the essence of all spirituality. The tug of war that goes on and on in our minds since we are born with an identity until we die is this war between I and Sai, as I put it. When I is important, when yourself or your individuality or your personality is important, the scope for godliness is very limited. And when godliness takes over, this individuality has no place to exist. So, the essence of all spirituality is to let the I dissolve and disappear into Sai. The individuality should become universality of existence as divinity. Like the river that travels many a terrain right from the peak of the Himalayas, but finally, when it merges in the ocean, there is no more river. There is no more two, there is only one. There is only ocean. The beauty of all the philosophy is that there is nothing to gain, there is only to let go. Suppose you need to go and get something from somewhere, then you have to put an effort that you have to travel a distance, acquire the thing, and then when you gain it by whatever means, then you own it. But spirituality is about letting go of what you already have. Need not get something from somewhere. And letting go of one's individuality is the whole essence of spirituality. Ashtavakra puts it very simply, Yada naham tada moksho, yada aham bandhanastada. When there is naham, I do not exist, or that sense of I does not exist, that's when you have moksha. That's then and there you have liberation. But yada aham, when we have this feeling that I exist, I am important as an individual, bandhanastada, that's where we get bound. And this I is the center or the core around which everything else revolves. All our mind, senses, the faculty of discrimination, everything is dependent on this core called I. I is the identity of oneself with one's body mind complex. That individuality is the essence. If we can merge it into the universality of all existence, then you have attained everything spiritually. There is nothing more to attain. This process is not of becoming something, it is the process of unbecoming this I. So it should be relatively an easy thing, one would say. Because if I tell you you have to become rich, then you have to work hard all your life, earn money, gain something, then store it, then you can call yourself rich. If I tell you you should become knowledgeable, then you have to work hard, study, gain the knowledge, assimilate it, understand it, then you become knowledgeable, a vidwan. Similarly, for anything, you have to go put efforts, get it from somewhere and acquire it, own it, then you become the owner of that. But spirituality is the reverse process of letting go of things till nothing remains. And that so-called nothingness is the everything that our scriptures talk about. In that state of existence, you become the universal self. So our spirituality is relatively a different concept where we have to let go, not acquire anything. So one would say, but if I acquire knowledge of the scriptures, would that help? It will only tell you what is to be finally the state that you must attain. And so that acquisition will only lead to that. That is why Kabir Das says, Poti padi padi jagmua pandit bhayana koi, dhai akshar prem ka padhe so pandit hoy. After reading all the scriptures, books and all kinds of places you have visited and learned from many teachers, if you haven't learned this 2.5 letter in Hindi, it would be prem, or this 4-letter word called love, then you haven't attained anything. And the one who has gained this has gained everything, says Kabir Das. So simple. He is a jnani by himself. So he doesn't care about anything. For him, nothing matters because he feels the universality of all existence. So he can never be poor. Though people would say he was a poor weaver, lived in a thatched roof hut by the banks of the river, and he had no possessions whatsoever. This is the description that people who have seen him they give. But within himself, he never feels poor. He never feels lesser than anybody else, even though he's a simple weaver, because he feels that oneness of everything. And that is the beauty of spirituality, that Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. That fullness, that completeness, that satisfaction is ever existent in a spiritual being. He never feels any lesser or never feels wanting in anything, never needs to acquire something to become complete or make his happiness or joy complete. His joy springs from inside and it is always complete. But for a person of the world, when they look at the spiritual person, to them it may appear, oh, what a terrible life, how poor he is, or how difficult it is, or how Akka Mahadevi said, all those tremendous austerities and terrible things are happening. The onlooker thinks that this person is suffering. But this person thinks actually that the people in the world are suffering because they are bound with so much of individuality and ego. They are bound. They are baddha jivis. So the whole process is, when we think of ourselves as more important than everything else, the ego gets solidified, it gets further reinforced, this individuality becomes stronger, and then the scope for God to enter or God to occupy does not remain. So emptying oneself of one's own thing is what is the whole process of spirituality. So letting go of that idea, identity with oneself as the body-mind complex, that has to be gotten rid of. Simply remove the very basic fundamental that individual I-ness is important, everything else will fall apart. That is the core, why it stands. So the whole process of unbecoming of all the ideas that we have accumulated from lifetimes, and that has shaped our thoughts, our habits, our what we call samskaras and vasanas, because these are coming from many, many, many lifetimes of our things that we have repeatedly doing. We have made habits out of them. So what is that you need to acquire? What is the process? How do we become less I and more Sai? When you have no time for yourself and to think about how important you are and how important your needs are and how important it is that everybody should respect you, how important it is that everybody should be always saluting you or honoring you, you have no time for all these things. That is the only way to get rid of I. And how do you do that? By giving importance to others. When you give importance to the happiness, the welfare, the goodness of others, then there very little remains for you to spend time on yourself. And if you're free and idle and you're only working for your own self, then naturally it's layer after layer. Every time you achieve something, gain something, it is another layer added to this score of I. And it's getting thicker and thicker and thicker. It means that it will take that much longer to get rid of it, because it's like a snowballing effect. It grows and grows and grows with every experience which is related to this individual ego. It grows and grows and grows. And therefore, it becomes even more difficult later to get rid of it. So why do I insist that we engage in this path of service, which is the fastest way? There is Jnana Marga also is there, where you meditate upon the higher self and slowly start identifying yourself with that higher self and slowly get rid of lower self. That's one way. But that requires very steady mind, very sharp mind. But mind by nature itself is not steady and sharp. It is always getting engaged in the lower things by nature. So engaging in something which is selfless every day helps us to overcome this idea of I am important. And that slowly reduces this intensity of your attachment to your individual self and start creating a space for others also to come and exist in it. This is the process. So the karma marga or the seva marga that I mentioned, that is the best way. You are, imagine in front of you there is somebody who is suffering, dying. You are also hungry, but that person would die without food or water. Your whole attention will go towards that person because you are seeing the intensity of somebody's requirement greater than yours. And that time when you do an act of selfless service, a little of your individuality shrinks. And then universality expands. So this repeatedly done over one's lifetime will make one overcome the idea of one's individuality. That is why the idea of service has been given such a huge importance in all scriptures. Everywhere. In our entire philosophy, mentioned Bhagavad Gita recommends at the end, Yajna dana tapak karma na tyajyam karyamevatat Yajna danas tapaschaiva pavanani manishina. To undertake these three activities, yajna is yajnat karma samudbhava. All activities are yajna. All activities are offered to the divine, not for one's own individual sake. This idea of mera kya, mujhe kya, nangeno, nandeno, this idea does not exist in yajna. Ella avarige. Everything is for God. For God's sake, we do everything. When you dress up and come for satsang, you dress up to look good to God. You want to come and present yourself in the best possible way, which will please the divine, not just pleasing me. Anybody who looks at you, they all should feel pleased. You come unkempt, improperly dressed, you create a sense of negativity around you. So we do this for whose sake? You can say, I want to do it because I want to look good. Then your eye will get stronger. But you want to do it because that is what I want to offer as an offering to God by appearing in a pleasant way. That's my offering to God. Suddenly, I changes into Sai. The idea changes, the attitude behind it changes. So yajna is the idea of offering everything to God. Thought, words, and actions. That is the yajna. Dana, charity. It means all that if you feel somebody's need is greater than yours, by the virtue of dana, by the principle of dana, it should go to the other person. It is not about who owns it, who earned it, who rightfully deserves it. All that we do not ask. We simply ask whose need is greater. Whosever need is greater gets it. Tena tyaktena bunjita. That is the idea of dana. Give first to the needy whose need is greater than yours, and then you enjoy the rest. So this is how dana works. And tapaha. Tapaha is simply constant striving, constant craving, constant pining to experience the divine. That is tapa. It's burning sensation. Tripura Rahasya, he says, you like a man's hair which has caught fire, is burning. Now nothing interests him at that point in time. He wants to dunk himself, dip himself in water and douse the fire on his hair. That is tapa. That burning desire to know the truth, to liberate oneself, to get rid of the bondage of I, to be free, like a man whose hair has caught fire. That is tapas. That kind of desire. But mumukshutvam comes only in the company of the right people, who are also desirous of the same thing. If you stay in their company, you will also develop that desire. So what should we do? Yajna dana tapa means, yajna means whatever we are doing is an offering to God. For God's sake only. Whatever comes out of it is prasadam. I offer naivedyam to God in everything. It's as simple as that. Second, dana, whatever I have, if somebody's need is greater than mine, it goes to them. I am second. The other person becomes first. See, in yajna, God becomes important. In the dana, the others become important. And in tapa, this idea that I must liberate becomes important than the idea of bondage. The idea of enjoying and pleasures of the world take a back seat. Lead is taken by the idea that I must realize the self. And that happens in the company of good people. Again, in the company of good people, you will know that how little you know and you become humble. So this happens to people who practice these things. See, if you do not put efforts and you just think that it will happen to you somehow, you will get lucky, it's not going to happen. It doesn't come so easy. You are definitely deserving from the point of view of a discipleship, but you are not yet ready. Like the pot is to be baked. When it becomes dry, baked and strong, that's when you pour water. In a unbaked pot, in a kacha pot, if you put water, it will break. So that is why you should wait for that readiness. That readiness is the dissolution of I. That dissolution of I holds the key to all our spiritual experiences. So how do we do that? As I said, many paths are there, but this path is the simplest. When you do service is yajna. You're offering it to God in some other form, or in whichever God you pray to, you offer it in your mind. Dana, yes, your time, energy is going to make somebody's life better. Somebody's welfare is uppermost on your mind. So it is way of dana. And tapas, because you're doing it with only one idea, one ideology, one desire, one prayer. That this should lead me to transcending of my individuality into the universality of everything. So we keep repeating this, it becomes a habit with us, it becomes our nature. That's how we become walking, talking, moving divine beings. So in our concept, moksha is not only thought of something that has to happen when you drop dead. The idea is we are always conscious that we are divine, and that is the moksha. When I doesn't exist, that is moksha basically. So the Jivan Mukti is the idea of our scriptures, not Videha Mukti. But the real moksha is as you live here and now, you are free. Why you are free? Because that binding, that problem of I does not exist you anymore. So nothing can stick to you. This is the idea of our scriptures, and the idea of attaining moksha or attaining nirvana, attaining purnatvam, tattvam, whichever way you put it, is basically dissolution of this I. That happens only when we don't give so much importance to ourselves as we give it to others. You have to engage in the world because there are a lot of people, like a boatman, they also have to be carried. But the analogy that Bhagavan used was, think of a forest. Everybody is having picnic. Your friends, everybody has gone to the forest for a picnic. Now you sat by the river, you enjoyed your meals, you played games, everybody is happy. And now it's getting darker. And you have to get back home also. You cannot stay there forever because it's a beautiful place. Before the sun sets, you have to be back home because there is no light, there is no way you will find your way. You are smart, you have understood that you must get back home, and you get detached, saying that, okay, enough making merry, enough fun, I must return because otherwise I won't find my way back home. So you are the smarter one, you have gone off, and before the sun sets, you have found your way out of the forest. But when you turn around and see, all your friends are still stuck in the same old their place. Till now, whatever was giving joy to them during the daylight, now it becomes a cause of fear and terror. Because now animals, nocturnal animals will start coming out. You can't see a thing and you are getting scared. You want to get back home. And they are all lost in that dark, dense forest. But you have found your way out. You know how to trace your way back also and take them out. Now your journey is go back. I said, all this while I traveled with you to come out of the forest. Now you're telling me go back to the same dense forest in the dark. He said, yes, this time you go back to fetch others, to get them out. So all the beautiful experiences of getting out of these cycles of whatever desires and its fulfillment and another desire, I thought it has ended. He said, yes, it has ended for you, but it has not ended for them. Now for the sake of them, go back and show them the way out of these woods. Because they are all crying for help. They are all stuck and stranded there. And you alone know the way out. So you have to go back for them. Just now you released me from this whole idea of doing and desiring and enjoying or suffering. Now you want me to go back and trace the whole thing and brave the wild animals on the way and still be courageous for the sake of those, in a way, fools who did not listen to the advice when I was giving them, that come out of this place, enough of fun, now it's time to go home. And they didn't listen to me. I had told them, I had warned them, I had cautioned them. Now what is my problem? Why should I go back for those ungrateful or whatever careless fellows who should have acted when there was time, when I was ready to guide them out? He said, no, we cannot think like this. They have made a mistake, yes. They have been wrong in doing what they have done. But we must have compassion. And you must have the compassion because you have found your way out. You know the relief out of that dark wood. But you must also feel for them who, yes, they did not listen to you, they did not follow you when the time was there, they did not act on your advice, but you can't just abandon them. That is not right. You must go back for them and get it. Then I look behind and see there are so many stuck there. Some of them were stuck because they did not have anybody to tell them. Some of them were stuck because they did not listen to somebody who told them. Whatever be the reason, whatever be the problem, one must go back for them and get them out. That is why Shankaracharya says, way of Guru is ahetuka daya sindhu, he says. Bandhu namatam satam. Anybody who surrenders or bows down to the great one, he becomes their bandhu, he becomes their friend. And he is ahetuka daya sindhu. He has oceanic compassion without any conditions. He is compassionate just like that by nature. Somebody listened, so he is compassionate to them. Somebody did not listen, so he is not a compassionate one. Somebody followed, so he will show his mercy. Somebody did not follow or even resisted. Even then he should show compassion. So this was a very huge ask, very tall order. For somebody who just came out of woods, with great difficulty, are you in the dark, go back again and get others? It feels like a huge task. Tejasvidam adhiv tamastu mahavid vishavahi. Don't be a trouble to each other. That's what the mantra says. As teachers and students on this spiritual path, let us be cooperative. Let us help each other. Let us not have hostility nor give a scope for such hostility. Let it be a happy learning experience for both of us. This is the Sahanavavatu mantra. So this is what I keep repeating again and again, that our job is to attain that moksha. And then moksha is not to be attained after achieving some great spiritual austerities and practices. That will or will not happen. But the dissolution of I itself is moksha. And dissolution happens when you start putting others before yourself, putting God above everything else, and do everything for that greater idea of God and goodness of others. Then your individual ideas will start diminishing, they start shrinking. And one day they'll disappear because there is no scope for it. You're not paying attention to it. So this is the whole process. Now this process takes time. It is not something that you can just achieve it overnight, because these samskaras are there from starting with our survival instincts, which are inbuilt in all the creatures. From there to all the ideas of ego and pomp and show and recognition and all that is there in us. We cannot get rid of it in one day, but it is a process. If you are at it for a long time, then they will be able to do that. In mathematics, there is when problem comes. No, monkey is climbing a pole. He goes 2 steps up and slips 1 step down. How long will it take for him to reach a 9-meter pole or something like that? That depends on how many times he sleeps, right? If he doesn't sleep at all, he will reach very fast. Every jump he covers a meter. 9 jumps he will cover. But every jump he covers a meter, slips by half a meter, then sit and calculate. So the idea is that we do not want to slip behind. That's why I'm very particular, because for you will realize or not, for me it's an extra effort. And that extra effort is an wasteful effort. It could have been done in the first go. For the sake of a few disobedient ones coming back all the way, risking our everything and taking them again out, it's not right. We should just follow the master. That's what I keep telling. Once one teacher was there. He used to do Shiva Puja every morning. And for that he needed a lot of milk. So there is a milkmaid, a girl. She would bring the milk from the other side of the river by coming in a boat. And will offer to the Guru. The Guru will do the puja. And one day it was very heavily raining and the river was flooded. The girl came with the pot of milk to the other side of the river, and she saw there was no boatman. Because river was in full spate, the boatman had not come. So she waited when the waters had subsided, the boatman came. Then she sat in the boat and came, but she was late by an hour maybe. The Guru was very furious. He said, "See, you have broken my vow of doing puja at this time every morning. What have you done?" And things like that. So she was very apologetic. She said, "The river was flooded, the boatman did not come, so I could not come with the milk. I'm very sorry." He said, "What kind of sorry? And I don't want to listen to all this. If you had faith, you could have walked on the water and brought the milk to me." That's what he told the girl. And this girl, in all her innocence, thought, "Oh, my Guru thinks that if I have faith, I can walk on the river, on the water. I need not wait for the boatman." So next morning what happened, the rain continued and the river was in full spate again. The boatman did not turn up. But she remembered, my Guru told, if I have faith in God and if I want to service to God and to Guru, I must not stop. Nothing should stop me. I will walk on the water. So she chanted Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and walked on the river and came to this side. She came and he was surprised. He said, "How did you come? Did the boatman come?" He said, "No, boatman did not come." "Then how did you cross the river?" "You told me, Guruji, yesterday, if I have faith, I can walk on water and I can come. So I just walked on the water and came." "What did you do?" "I chanted Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and I walked because I didn't want to delay your puja." The Guru said, "That is not possible." She said, "No, it happened. You told her it happened." The Guru said, "No, I don't believe it. Show me." Then he said, "Come with me," she said. Then she went to the river side and then she told Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and she walked on the water and she was walking to the other side. Then Guru thought, "Oh, this is possible. This girl has achieved. I never tried this. Let me also try." He lifted his dhoti and sunk. Why he sunk? Because he lifted his dhoti with the fear that what if I drown and the water should not touch me. So he did not have faith. He was telling Om Namah Shivaya by mere chanting by lips, but he did not have faith, because if he had faith, why should he lift his dhoti? He could have as well walked like you walk on the plain dry ground. But she had the faith. The Guru, even if the Guru was not complete in his faith, the Shishya did not bother about that much. Her idea was the message. So don't worry about what your teacher is saying, whether doing or not doing. Don't start questioning others. You see what you can get out of it. How can it benefit you? How does it matter? That is important for you. That is important for you. So take the essence of the message. In Hindi, they say, Aam khao, gutli mat gino. Enjoy the fruit. Why you want to count the seeds? Enjoy the fruit, they say. That is the idea. Whatever is being told, it's being told in the truest spirit of everybody's welfare. Whether it is bitter or sweet, whether it is easy to understand or difficult, whether it are to accept or not accept, that is all secondary. Most important is that what is being taught and told is with complete sincerity for one's welfare. And that's all I am interested in. Enjoy your freedom. Why you have to be living like a bound prisoner? Enjoy your freedom. And who has tied you? You have tied yourself. Nobody has tied you. Just realizing that I am not tied, I am not bound by my own individuality will free us. Like the Dhobi's donkey, who always thought that he is tied by a rope. But one day Dhobi did not have a rope. He didn't know how to control the donkey. The saint told, don't worry, just act as if you're tying the donkey. And he acted. There was no rope. And the donkey stood there by the river. And when in the evening he wanted to take the donkey back, the donkey is not moving from his place. So again he started worrying. Then the saint came and told, did you untie the donkey? He said, but I never tied the donkey in the first place. But he said, but you acted that you tied the donkey still thinks that it is tied. So just act as if you're untying. So he acted, he is untying, and the donkey was started walking backward. This donkey is our mind, you see. Take the jnana, that is important. Don't sit and get into this questioning and debating about things. That is not going to help us all. So enjoy the wisdom and realize it by practice. Be free. Because if you are free, you can also go back and get more people who are stuck there. They will be grateful to you. Instead of questioning God and His ways, you rather question your ways. Don't worry about who is going where. Where are you going? Be concerned about that and walk this path. Don't waste your time in counting, as I said, the trees. Enjoy the fruit and benefit from it. And when you benefit, 10 others will benefit from you. Understand that and learn. That is my message for today.